It does irk me a bit.
He has been spotted. Now we must trek through the wilderness, poison ivy, the stickers, to capture the jungle gnome from the wild. Got a little work to do on that. Strawberries. This is the north side of our house. Anybody want any purple irises? We got them in spades. I just walked through that. Oh dear. When you see poison ivy, that's the terrain of the jungle gnome. Hey. Want to buy some dirt?
Yesterday's game played out the same way too. Losing my mind, sitting there thinking of you. And I don't know when it's gonna rain again. It'd be good just to see your face again. Miss you. Ooh. Missing you. Ooh. I've been riding the range somewhere between Phoenix and Omaha. The road hasn't changed, it's still the same as it ever was. I don't know when I'll be home again. It's been good just to hear your voice again. Miss you. Ooh. Missing you. Ooh. Okay, yeah, let's do that.
Where's he at?
That's a mockingbird.
Where's he at?
Right up there in that country.
I'm trying to find him in the stupid phone.
Oh, mockingbird.
Trying to find him in the camera. It's harder than you think.
Oh, sorry. You can always edit over the music if you don't like it.
Oh!
It's the way. It's in the other country now. I think that's the same mockingbird.
Let's see. Let's see if this will work. Like, it's supposed to go. Supposed to look like you're doing flyover.
Alright, so we want to talk about the plants that we got here. This right here, this is Yarrow. Yarrow is a medicinal plant. It is a styptic. These fern-like leaves are really great for staunching blood flow. Analgesic, fever reducer. That's right, it contains salicin just like Willow does. And produces nice pretty little flowers too. Pollinators like it. Back up a little bit. Oh, you're starting to get a little bit of color right there.
We'll have to come back next week and see him.
You have to come back next week and see them. This plant here is called Valerian. It's already starting to produce some flowers. These will turn blue eventually. Now, this is Valerian, and the root of this is used as an anti-anxiety, antispasmodic medication. So all in this area here we have medicinal herbs being planted and grown.
I'm sure I'm recording.
These monstrous things here are Italian irises. I got these from Arkansas Woodcutter. Mark brought me these last year. He brought, I think 4 or 5 of them. I had another clump in the middle there that lost those. All right. Howdy, howdy. All right, go ahead and bring your camera over this way.
Trying to get that flower.
All right. So as long as we're here, let's have a look down here.
Under the pecan tree.
Under the pecan tree. If you look down, you'll see there's some mushroom popping up here. This is just wild. It's not something I cultivated. But we are cultivating specific types of mushrooms and fungi in this bed area here, and of course occasionally pulling up some Bermuda grass whenever it appears. We've got mycorrhizal fungi associated with all the plants in underneath this mulch, and also we have a few saprotrophic mushrooms, King Stropharia particularly, growing in here. That counts as one layer, first layer, the fungal layer, where we have the mycelium of fungi running underneath everything. Then we have ground covers like this here. This is strawberry. And if you come up a little bit, we've got an understory tree. You might want to zoom out to see this one.
I gotta aim at him right. Oh, there we go.
Okay. You can actually just back up a little bit if you want to.
Yeah, I'm tripped.
All right. So this is an understory tree. This one is a pear tree, a Bartlett pear. There's a pear right there. Of course, it's not anywhere close to being ready to eat, but it will be eventually. Bartlett pear, understory tree. Come on back down. And we've got, this would be called an herbaceous perennial. This is a canna lily. So we have, first layer was the fungal layer. Then we have ground covers, like that strawberry over there, right there. We need to weed out that grass there.
Mm-hmm.
Just having thick mulch doesn't stop all the weeds. And then you have herbaceous perennials, like the canna lily here. This is edible. The roots are edible, the flowers are edible, and the shoots, particularly early in the spring, are edible and high in protein. So I'm actually growing the canna lilies for the early spring shoots. Okay, so we have fungal layer, ground cover layer, herbaceous layer. Of course, that is an understory tree, which is the 4th layer. And this here,
you got onions.
We have walking onions. That's another herbaceous perennial. Over there in the back, those are daylilies, herbaceous perennial. This is a blueberry bush. That's a bush. That's a 5th layer. Bushes.
Cap that.
Yeah.
Thanks.
All right. Now, the thing that's important to note is these things grow and occupy different spaces and produce in different times. So your ground covers, like your strawberries, are occupying the ground layer. They grow all the way up to the bottom of the blueberries, which is a bush. Growing up amongst your ground covers, you have things like these daylilies back here, right? So they grow up above the ground cover and they grow under the bushes. Then you've got your understory trees like this pear tree here, which grows over the bushes. But once again, the ground covers and herbaceous perennials can grow all the way up to the trunk.
We're going to have to discuss the sun issue, aren't we?
All right.
Is that a tomato?
That is a tomato. This is an annual, but I just happen to have the space here, so I figured I may as well use it, and I planted an annual in the bed. There's another canna lily. That back here, Violetta odorata, wild violet, or English violet if you prefer.
Everywhere. They have a blue, purple flower, correct?
Purple flower, yeah. And once again, all of these plants that you see, that we're showing you here, the violets are edible, both edible flowers and edible leaves. The roots are used for medicine. Daylilies, oh, I've got an onion tucked in amongst my daylilies. Daylilies, edible tubers, edible flowers. Of course, the canna lilies, once again, edible tubers, edible flowers, early shoots, also edible. Blueberries, obviously, blueberry like the sky right here, these are edible. Pears, edible. This is another bush. It is a tree, but it has a bushy type habit.
Yeah,
so
it does.
since the growth habit is bush type, we're treating this as a bush.
So you get to tell us what check out those leaves.
This is a hazelnut.
Yeah, I was going to make people guess for a minute. And we've been seeing tassels on some of them.
Yeah. We have several different varieties of hazelnut. We have
4?
let me see.
Let's count.
We have Jefferson cultivar, Etta cultivar, Yamhill cultivar, and Doris cultivar
4
hazelnut. So we have 4 different cultivars of hazelnut.
How'd you find a 5th one?
I did find a 5th one, but I haven't gotten any of them and brought them in yet.
It's on
So we have
his
4
wish list.
different, and these are improved cultivars that are capable of withstanding the eastern filbert blight and still produce large amounts of nuts. So these were all developed, all the hazelnuts we have here were developed by the University of Oregon specifically for commercial purposes. And the big experiment we're doing here in Oklahoma is finding out if we can import those and grow them here, because I think we have a good climate for growing hazelnuts.
And you like nuts.
And if you want a nut tree that grows quick, that doesn't take up a lot of space,
Like a pecan
hazelnuts are great for that.
That's
They're going to
nice.
start producing within 3 to 4 years. They'll hit their maturity at about 9 years, and they'll produce about 25 pounds per tree. And the tree is only going to take up 144 square feet of space if you allow it to just spread out as much as it wants to. So a great tree for a small space, home garden, what have you. Move on.
Layers.
Layers. So we're at 5. Are we at 5 layers now? We have the fungus layer, we have the ground cover layer, we have the herbaceous perennial layer, we have the shrub layer, we have the understory tree layer. We need to see a tree that
Like,
occupies something. We need to see something that occupies a different layer, don't we?
oh, look, another hazelnut.
There's another hazelnut.
You're looking for another tree. Okay.
That's trash.
Yeah, it's a bad thing
What's
about a
that
rainy
thing
day. Green strawberries, more canna lilies, another blueberry.
Yeah.
And
Now this big monstrosity
it's
is
gonna shade my
just
house.
starting to wake up.
Look at those tassels. Oh yeah, this thing was a tassel crazy party
Yeah.
just a week
Well,
ago.
yeah, he got hit by frost and lost some of the male flowers, but the female flowers hadn't opened yet, which is kind of
Maybe
interesting
got
to note.
lucky.
So it's still possible we may get nuts out of it this year. This is, of course, a pecan tree, Carya illinoisensis,
Bird feeder.
grown for perhaps 10,000 years here on the North American continent before the Europeans ever arrived, as a food source for particularly the civilization that we call Cahokia. Possibly that's the descendants of the civilization that really planted them. That would have been the mound builders of the Illinois area.
So they've
You know
been
those
here
guys.
a
They built structures larger than the pyramids at Giza. Anyway, hunter gatherers, so called. Great place, of course, to hang a bird feeder. If you want to have birds in your yard, have feeders, also have waterers, bird baths. Give them habitat, place to build their nests, someplace where they can get a bite to eat, someplace where they can bathe themselves, and you'll get birds in your yard. You want birds in your yard, guys, because the birds come along, and although yes, they'll eat seeds early in the spring whenever they start making their nests and having babies, those babies are going to eat insects. What insects? Well, specifically the pests that you're trying to get rid of. So instead of spraying poison all over your food, get some birds to come in and eat the bugs for you, then you can have clean food without poison on it. All right, so this, of course, is
Sorry, Christopher.
Carya illinoisensis pecan tree. It's going to get to be anywhere from 100 to 120 feet, 100 and 120 feet tall whenever it's as big as it gets.
Far enough away from the
This
house,
counts as
but close
layer
enough.
number. I'm
7?
running out of fingers.
This
This
is
is
the
layer
top
number
layer.
6.
This is the
The
top
canopy
layer.
layer, the top layer, right?
So,
But there are actually 7 layers here. And I want you to go ahead and bring the camera around right to here. All right, pay no attention to the Bermuda grass. This stuff is insidious. It's almost impossible to get rid of. I smother it with about 6 inches of
shade,
of mulch, and it still grows up through it.
shade.
Right down here, this tiny little green thing growing here is a vine. That,
What is
folks, is a hardy kiwi.
Kiwi. Seriously?
Yeah, we have kiwi fruit
Oh.
in zone 7A. Kiwi. That's right, we can grow kiwi here. So that is a kiwi, and it's going to grow up into the tree. It's going to grow right up the trunk. It'll go right up the trunk, up into the canopy layer, and all along the way, it's going to produce fruit for us. So this is layer number 7. 5 plus 2, 7. 7 different layers of food production in the same amount of space. That means 7 harvests in the same amount of space instead of 1 harvest in the same amount of space.
Because you can't eat these other vines, but they do make nice flowers.
Yeah, these are weeds. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then,
Then they tend to get on your strawberries.
Yeah, they're gonna thin those out before they create a problem.
There's some baby leaves or something right there.
Yep, I'm not sure what that is. I'm going to let it grow and see what it turns into.
Oh, look at all that corn everywhere. Birds. They've been busy. They do visit. The reason I asked Jason about this part of the garden, because it's not technically his garden. I want to call it his foodscaping. Because the layers, I think he's got every single possible layer. Oh, and a tomato.
That's another tomato.
What's this guy again?
All right, this is a special little tree. If you're going to be growing, your own, oh, sure, thanks.
It's trash.
If you're going to be growing your very own garden, and you're going to be producing trees and shrubs and ground covers and herbaceous perennials and all kinds of fun stuff like that to grow for food, it can get really expensive to buy a whole bunch of different trees. So you might want to learn how to propagate your own. And part of that propagation process involves getting cuttings from living trees, living shrubs, and getting them to develop roots. And to help you along, this is a willow. This is actually a black pussy willow. It's a pussy willow, so it only gets to be about 12 foot tall. And unlike the usual pussy willow with the pink catkins, this one has purplish colored to black colored catkins. So it's a little bit of an unusual conversation piece. But the inner bark of this particular shrub produces a rooting hormone, which you can use to help you root your other plants.
Got layers of bonuses. That's cute. That's the one that makes you go, wait, what's that? It really does. Random tomato. Blueberries. Well, there's those walking onions. You really pick them from the top.
Well,
or they plant themselves somewhere else.
Well, the idea with these guys, since they're a perennial onion, you can trim off the greens and use them like a green onion if you want to. And there's another volunteer mushroom. That's not one that I planted. Or you can wait until they top set onions. Incidentally, they're so eager to grow, the top set onions will start to produce new shoots, like this one here. And then those will produce onions at the end of them, and so on and so forth, until the entire thing just gets heavy and falls over. And that way they walk across the yard.
I was going to say, when you get the greens, you get the little ones.
Yeah.
Because if they get too big when they're falling over, they're kind of woody.
Right. Now, space these guys out if you want to have a big plant, if you want to harvest the entire plant.
Yeah, like the
for an onion. Space them at least a foot apart, and you're going to get them bigger than my thumb, maybe about that wide. It's close to leek size. So don't kid yourself about these being a novelty onion plant.
I mean,
you get a good supply of these. You won't have to buy onions from the store ever.
Kind of like the wild garlic that we keep getting. I think there is a flower. Hey, somebody made it through he made it past the frost. Where's he at? There he is.
What?
Or I should say her.
What is it?
Or them, the flowers.
Huh?
The little blueberry flowers.
Oh, this one's.
You see him?
Yep, that's good.
Try not to step on your garden step.
All right, so this particular blueberry is a southern high bush, one of the rabbit eyes type of blueberries. Well, that shoot didn't make it.
Oh.
No, it's side shoots. These will get to be about 12 foot tall if you let them. We're going to train them to not get that big.
Well, here on this side of the driveway, why not?
All right.
Our trash is getting away.
So we had blueberry over here, and if you come over here real quick,
What was this?
yeah, if you come over here real quick, this is another hazelnut tree that we just planted. This is one of the...
Did that one get eaten on?
The Doris... No, the one in the backyard got nibbled on. Doris hazelnut.
So this is like a bear...
These produce a really nice quality nut for making candies and such. Just good size, easy to shell, good for blanching too. All right, but in between the two of them, this is another ground cover.
Between the hazelnut and the blueberry.
In between the hazelnut and the blueberry, we have this. This is another ground cover with some weeds.
Did it bush?
It's a very, very low growing bush. It'll only get to be about 6 inches tall.
Is it?
Tops, yes. This is called creeping wintergreen, Gaultheria procumbens. And the interesting thing about creeping wintergreen is the associations that it forms with fungus in the fungal layer. It forms associations with both ectomycorrhizal fungi and another type of fungi called ericaceous or ericoid mycorrhizal fungi.
So he's the missing link.
The ericoid mycorrhizal fungi associate with that blueberry over there.
Right, because they don't associate with much of anything.
They don't associate with anything else. They're used to growing on their own separate environment.
Little guys,
and the ectomycorrhizal fungi associate with this guy over here.
There he's
So if I have mycorrhizal fungi running underneath the entire garden plot, These guys make the association between the hazelnuts and the blueberries.
So you need more of these guys?
Yes, and you need more of those guys.
Those blueberries
Incidentally,
out a lot.
while we're on the topic of having plants that form multiple associations,
Yes.
it's not just ericaceous and ectomycorrhizal associations. Things like the strawberry here form an association with varieties of fungi called arbuscular mycorrhizal fungi. Arbuscular mycorrhizal fungi, of course, are different from the ectomycorrhizal fungi you would have forming an association with that hazelnut over there or the pecan tree over here. Most of your fruits have arbuscular associations. The willow tree forms associations with both arbuscular mycorrhizal fungi like the strawberries and the canna lilies and the violets, and also with ectomycorrhizals like the pecan and the hazelnuts. So once again, we have another link here tying everything together.
So the wintergreen, creeping wintergreen, and the willow.
Creeping wintergreen and willow both serve an important role in tying all of the different species that are growing here together.
So that would solve the shade problem?
That solves part of the shade issue, because whenever you have a
Because
mutual
they always say plant in full sun.
whenever you have a mutual network of mycorrhiza with different species working together, you can have a big canopy tree like the pecan up here, which has a total spread of 60 feet. It's 72 feet from down there where the pear tree is to the end of the fence over here. 72 feet. So most of that space is going to be covered and shaded by that pecan tree whenever it gets to its full size. It's going to photosynthesize a lot more than it needs. And so it will send sugars down through its roots. Those will go into the mycorrhizal network, and those will be delivered by the mycorrhizal network to the other plants underneath.
Sweet.
So it doesn't matter that the blueberries are in the shade. They're going to grow just fine, even though they aren't tied directly to the same network as the pecan tree, because they're tied to the wintergreen's network.
So how wide do you say this space is that we got right here? The from the driveway to the end of the property is about right there. That's what 4 feet? Do you think?
I don't know. Where's my hand? Is it at the edge?
Yes, I think so. Pretty close.
Okay.
Doesn't look like it from the camera, but
from fingertip to fingertip is 6 feet.
say maybe like.
So at most maybe 5 feet.
Okay, so this spot's
4 to 5 feet. That's about as wide as it gets here.
It's really long, so you can have these layers just going and going and going.
Yep. So we have a 72-foot long strip.
72 foot
70
long?
foot long strip.
Oh, I didn't realize our driveway was that long.
That is, huh? To the fence, yeah, 72 feet from the driveway to the fence over here. That's about 5 foot wide. And that would be space that just isn't used for anything.
And that's a cord with dingle bells on it.
Yeah.
To kind of try to chase off some rodents.
Yeah, and of course to keep wandering people from walking through the garden.
Or the
All right,
churchies.
down here, I've got a little project
the
going.
runaway.
So you might want to bring the camera around to the other side, but you don't have to do it right this side. Okay, wait, really quickly. Okay.
What'd you find?
Can you see that on the leaf there, on the top leaf, on the strawberry? Little tiny gold colored. That is a parasitic fly. That is a parasitic fly. Can you get a good look at it without scaring it away? Did you see him? Okay, there he is, kind of gold. There he is. That is a parasitic fly. That is an insect hunter. Its job is to go out and find potential pest insects and kill them. All right, but that's not what we're here for. Yeah, of course this is a Frigria. Oh, I can't remember what the.
That fly doesn't care. He's not flying off. It's
strawberry.
too cold in the morning.
This is an everbearing strawberry.
Yeah.
Albion everbearing strawberry, and it produces these little runners that come out that it makes new little baby strawberries off of. Instead of waiting for them to flower and produce seeds, you can always capture the runners, and that's what I have. That's what I have going on here. I took a piece of PVC pipe. I think this is 1.5 inches. It might be 2 inches. No, I think it's 1.5 inches. Anyway, we took a piece of PVC pipe, cut it off to about 2.25 inches in length, and I drilled a hole right there. We packed the bottom part of it with just a little layer of soil to make it nice and firm, and then put loose soil over the top of that. And then I've got a little bit of mulch on over the top of that. But what we have going on here, see, there's the
kind of like a mini
there's a little green tip of that runner, and the rest of the stem of the runner is now submerged under some soil. And then I just put a little bit of mulch there to protect it. And eventually this little green tip is going to form a brand new plant with its own root system. And when that happens, all we have to do is snip off the runner and take this brand new, yeah, see, you can look under it.
Oh, it
Brand
is like
new.
one of those air prune mini beds. It's like an air pruner, but
We'll have
mini.
we'll have a little tiny baby strawberry plant ready to go to a new location
You just sort of push him up.
by
Stick him in the
capturing
hole.
that runner. Yeah.
Oh no, he has to get up. We won't film that.
We'll be here for an hour or two.
We've already been here for 20 minutes. But I picked this spot to prove to people you really don't have to have a quote garden and a huge yard to not, you know, have some layers. Oh, that one didn't make it. See? And you really have landscaping and food.
Landscaping and food at the same time.
So I guess we call this foodscaping.
On the other side of the fence here, I've got one last tree.
I almost hit the pause button.
That's part of the system.
Is that what I think it is?
This is a bur oak.
Oh, it does look
A
like
bur oak. Yeah, there it is.
Those are the wild mulberry trees.
Yeah. Ashworth bur oak, Quercus mycocarpa.
Yeah.
And this fellow produces acorns whenever it's mature anyway. It produces acorns that are about that long and at least as big around as my finger.
Is this to bait your squirrels?
Well, no, actually, this is for us to eat.
Really?
Yeah. These are edible acorns, which are almost sweet enough that they don't even require processing. They can very nearly be eaten out of hand, but you probably do want to soak them in the water to blanch them before you eat them.
I'm hoping when that tree behind the garage falls, the garage will keep it from getting the oak tree. Just saying. Random onions.
Are you happy now?